Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Debrief Fish, whatever you want to call it, Sunday morning show. Geo, how was oneself?
I'm good. I'm good. Enjoyed the Champions League final last night. It's always the
Ooh.
last game of the domestic calendar, isn't it? So now it's like ready for the Euros, which is less than 2 weeks away. So I'm all go.
I didn't even watch. I didn't even watch it. How was it?
It was a good game. Dortmund should have won. Plenty of chances. Didn't take them. Real Madrid took theirs. That is simplifying, but that's pretty much what happened. Dortmund was a better team for 70 minutes. Did not score. Real Madrid took advantage of set pieces, and Vinicius Junior scored and probably won the Ballon d'Or at the same time. Yeah,
He's good, isn't he? He's all
yeah.
right. When it comes to footballing, that kid, he's pretty okay. He's
Yeah.
pretty okay. Not the only Brazilian teenager we're going to speak about today. Obviously, he's probably still not. He's probably not a teenager anymore. No, Vinicius. To be fair, we've got about 15 others going around at West Ham at the moment. We're along with a bunch of others. Who do you want to start with? Like with all the transfers that we're going to go through today, who's the one that you want to speak about most initially?
Well, to be fair, I've spoke about them all, Charlie. So it's
Sure.
getting your opinion and the live chat's opinion as we go. So what we'll do, I think, if we ping out the updates, if there is any, we'll put the latest is on social media, the reports and rumors, and we'll see what people are saying. So with Guilherme, which is the big one, and nothing really changed. As I always tongue-in-cheek joke that on weekends transfer rumours quieten down. It's almost like journalists only work Monday to Friday or only want to work Monday to Friday or something like that. Fabrizio Romano keeps going because that guy's just a machine when it comes to transfer windows. Then he
Yeah.
works 24. I'm convinced he does not sleep. But
Yeah.
the rest of them seem to go quiet. So tomorrow, Monday, I expect a wave of transfer rumours coming in the direction of West Ham. But the update hasn't really changed, which is we're trying to get a 30 million euro deal done, but personal terms between West Ham and the player are
Mhm.
supposedly agreed. So it's just a case of can Steidten get something agreed with his club?
I am surprised. I'm very surprised with it because I know we were speaking about when we spoke about Wesley a couple of weeks ago, and I was of the opinion that because of the Paquetá stuff happening, that it would make that a lot less likely to exist. I was like, okay, I feel like if that's going, you can sort of afford to go and buy a very expensive left winger, especially one with a little bit of risk or whatever. But in a situation where we weren't having money, I thought the idea of spending that much in that position just seemed a bit insane to me. And especially it being another teenager who hasn't got like the most amount of I don't know, minutes, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It just seems a bit insane to me, the whole thing. And the thing is, I'm kind of okay with it. Like I've kind of missed complete insanity transfer West Ham, so I'm kind of okay with it, even though I think it might categorically be the wrong idea. But at the same time, it is potentially categorically the wrong idea. It is a bit wild.
Yeah, I think the thing that sort of stuttered me a bit is that when reading people that do know about him and watched him, what they say is that his best performances have come on the right wing, although it's a bit of a needs must at the minute. That's where he gets played there because there's better players in the other positions. And then there's some people saying that they reckon his best position will become the sort of number 10 role. But I've seen very few people say that he's a left winger or he will be a left winger because obviously he's left footed as well. So it's a bit like, then you start going, well, what's the plan here? And I've sort of almost come to the conclusion that it might be like a Kudus understudy and that we're maybe preparing to lose Kudus next summer and we're trying to get his replacement in now. So he's got a year of just getting used to the club, getting used to London, getting used to the Premier League, minutes here and there, but nothing too significant. And then if
Mm.
Kudus does go next summer because of his release clause, that this guy will hopefully then step up. But even that would be a huge ask of a 19-year-old, especially if perhaps his first season isn't anything tremendous. I'd have reservations over that. So it's a bit of a strange one. I don't know. Part of me just thinks it's maybe just Tim Steidten has identified what he thinks is one of the best young players in football, not just Brazil, in football, and he wants
Mm.
to go get him. And then it's a case of, here you go, Lopetegui, make it work. I've got you, one of the best young talents in the world of football at 18 years old. You now have to make it work, sort it out. It might just be that.
What does the Wesley thing look like now in hindsight with that? Because there's two ways in my mind of looking at it. Maybe even three, but Wesley was a smokescreen for Luis. I don't know how to pronounce his surname yet, so we're just going to go with Luis, I guess. Luis is a smokescreen or a bargaining tool to try and force the Wesley one through. To go, well, all right, we won't get, fine, we'll go and get another Brazilian 18-year-old for a ridiculously large amount of money. Goodbye, we'll go do that instead. Or it was just he was second choice.
There's the other one, which is, well, I guess this would feed into the fact he's second choice, because there was a lot of talk that everything was done with Wesley. And when Tim got to Brazil, the president went, actually, we're going to have an extra 5 million, thank you. Because the issue is, at the minute, obviously the Brazilian league has just got underway. So almost every week goes by, Wesley plays another game. So before Steidten went out and then Steidten arriving, he played and set up a goal. So I think that's maybe made the president go, hang on a minute, either we've undervalued him, or maybe we just wait a month and more clubs will want him, and then we will get our bigger fee, because the transfer window's not even open yet. You know, it's still funny enough, when the Euros start, 14th of June, that's when the transfer window opens domestically. Then the international one opens on the 1st of July. So there's still a month to go before any real business, any movers or shakers start happening. Of course, you can do pre-contracts and stuff, and I guess that's what we're trying to do, to stop them playing and getting injured. But it's a strange one. I don't know, truth be told, Charlie. I don't know. I think maybe he just likes them both, and he's just seen what deal he can get for both players, and then he's going to pick which one he wants based on what deal, because that's on the assumption that both clubs are willing to sell. He can get a deal done with both clubs, and he can agree something with both players, which is very difficult. So it's possible that he's maybe hedging his bets, negotiating with both, and then see what one he can get. I don't know, maybe he gets both. I'd be shocked. I'd be very shocked if he got both, but I don't know, maybe
I don't think we could afford both, to be fair. I mean it does at least suggest, whether or not the plan is exactly how you laid it out in terms of like it being the Kudus replacement or whatever, it does at least suggest that there is some sort of plan and a reason why you're going and buying a very expensive youngster, as opposed to here's a great opportunity to just go and snab a really good youngster. It does feel like a lot more like, actually, if we're going for a second one after the first one didn't quite work out, that there is a reason for that. It's not just best case, like the Bruno one, right? The Fabrizio Bruno one, which is obviously stalled, and you know we can go into that in a second. But like that stalling, we haven't then just gone, all right, here's another 28-year-old-ish centre back. That one feels more like actually right guy, right price, right time kind of situation. Let's try and make it happen. And obviously the prices ended up being slightly more than we expect because of the wages, although the wages supposedly, if we offered the exact wages he's on essentially in Brazil, I don't know what we thought was going to happen there. That seems a little bit insane.
That's if the reports
more
are
opportunity.
True. That's if the reports are true. I don't necessarily believe that. I don't think we'd offer that little money to somebody changing continent, especially somebody at 28 years old. I don't believe that report. But I think the one thing that gives me a lot of reassurance, a big comfort blanket, is that we've been almost setting up camp in Brazil for 3 years now or something. Originally with Rob Newman, pre-Tim Steidten. Steiden's come in, but as I mentioned yesterday, Steidten or Leverkusen did bring Palacios, granted from Argentina, brought Palacios over. They brought over Hincapié as well. So Leverkusen have done business in South America before, spending a decent money, not so much Hincapié, but bringing in young players for a decent fee. And they've turned out to be good. I'm just assuming, and I think this is a fair assumption, the players we are going after, we are targeting, have been identified maybe for quite some time now. It might be 6 to 8 months or something like that, and we've done as much research as we can into these players, and we've just decided that this is who we want, and we're going over there for these specific players rather than let's just buy a Brazilian. Because if that's what's happening here, I'm going to start thinking Tim Steidten, those people on Phuket Island, and he's the ringleader of all these allegations or something.
It's not the best look currently right now. We can say that much at least. At least, I'm a bit disappointed that the Bruno one's not going through. I'll be honest with you. If anything, not that was more exciting to me than the Lewis or the Wesley one, but like, it just seemed like quite good business. It seemed quite smart of us for a position where we're going to need multiple people, one of which doesn't necessarily have to be the starter right now. It felt like quite good business to go and find sort of someone in the mold that would work with Lopetegui, but also, you know, costs around about that much. And even if you doubled his wages from Brazil, it would still be significantly less than a lot of other people you'd go for.
I struggle to get disappointed when deals fall through for players I've never heard of because
very fair.
Because I don't have an opinion on them. It's like because I can't imagine them at West Ham. Like, we're buying this Bruno. Is he going to be the fourth choice centre back, the first choice centre? I haven't a clue. I've no idea how good this guy is, or if he could make what he could bring to. I don't know. I would like it to happen because it means that either the manager or the head coach, or technical director has got his man. That would make me happy. But that's it. Because I don't know anything about him, I find it hard to get I get excited to discovering the player rather than what he can bring to West Ham. Whereas when you sign a player, when we signed like Kudus, for example, I got excited because I knew what he'd bring to the club rather than discovering him. Does that make sense? So my excitement levels are different things. So when it falls through for a player I've never heard of, I struggle to be too upset just because it's like, well, I didn't know what he was going to. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. So I get it from the outside looking in. Like you said, makes sense. Seems smart business going by what people said, but because I know what Jacob Greaves can bring to West Ham, I think I'm more inclined to see him join us than Fabrício Bruno.
That's fair. Where are we at with that one? I mean, the last time I heard about it, I think X was saying it's likely that we're going to look at him.
Yeah, now. I think because the Bruno one's falling through, I think we might shift our attentions to Greaves. That is what the stories are at the minute, that he's now going to be. But what I will say is it's been quite well documented since Lopetegui sort of came in, post-Man City game, that we're going after two centre-backs.
Sure,
so it's more than feasible that we'd get both, or we'd go after both, because I think the two of them combined would probably come to around about, I don't know, 30 million, maybe a little bit more, which isn't too bad for two centre-backs in the Premier League in this day and age. So I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say Bruno come in and we're like, we still need one more centre-back. I don't think anyone's going to say, oh yeah, freebie will do. We're looking for better than that. And I think Greaves would actually tick what we're still looking for. So I wouldn't be surprised if we were going after both centre-backs rather than just one of them.
Do you think Greaves? Because for me, when I thought about Bruno, and again, this is me spitballing with him because like you, I'd never seen. I probably had seen him play internationally, and that's it. And even then, I don't think I watched the England game. So I did
watch the England game, but so I've watched him play without knowing I've watched him play.
Sure, but with Greaves, because I haven't watched Greaves really either. Is that a player who can come in and be first choice? Or is this the sort of like
this is where I'm going to get arrogant? Okay, I'm going to get West Ham arrogant here. So you're Sheffield United.
I was going to say, are we getting another Hal McAtee situation
you're
here?
Right, really offended by what am I to say here? Right, if he was joining at Brentford, or not, maybe not Nottingham Forest because of Murillo, but that kind of level of club, then I'd say yes, he does start for those clubs. Okay. I think we're better than those clubs. I do. Here's my arrogance kicking in. The league table last season dictates that we're better than those clubs.
Sure.
Does he start for us? I think he's got potential. He's the left-sided centre back. There's no disputing that one. He's left-footed. So does he displace Aguerd? Well, Aguerd's likely to move on. Does he displace Kurt Zouma? Really? I'm not sure. This is where you have to predict what you think the new guy is going to do. I'm not sure he would, but for me, I'd be okay with that. I think he's one of the best centre backs in the Championship, and the problem is that you can afford an attacking player in Championships to come into your team and make mistakes. You can put up with that, but bringing a centre back in, there's not really much room for error there, because if you make a mistake, there's a chance it's going to be quite significant. However, last season, all our centre-backs made big errors, and they were all experienced. Ogbonna, Mavropanos, Zuma, Aguerd, they were all making big mistakes. So Greaves has got the time on his side. I'd be really happy with it. And plus, the last signing from Hull City didn't work out too badly, did it? But yeah, Greaves would be a big tick for me. I think he's one of the best centre-backs in Championship.
What are the other big ones? You've got Marcus Edwards. That one's popped up again. It seems to be bubbling for a while.
The latest is that we're just looking at him, but he's very heavily linked with Spurs at the minute. And there's a bit of like the thing is with Spurs, it would almost be clever business because they're back in European football and he's club trained. And it's not very often you can buy a player that is club trained. Like we'd have to go after Josh Cullen, for example. So it does feel like he might go there. And I think, you look at their right wingers, Kulusevski and Brennan Johnson, neither were great last season. So it does make sense for him to go back there. I think, do you know how we're talking? Is Guilherme to replace Kudus? I think Edwards would be to replace Kudus. You'd get the feeling, and that would be someone we're bringing in with anticipation. Kudus is probably going to go next summer because that is a right winger. He can play on the left, but again, he's not. I haven't seen those. I don't mind a bit of Sporting actually, but it's only tends to be in European football. I watch them, and he looked good. He's looked good, but yeah, I wanted him more last summer than I do this summer, Edwards.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. He always. I haven't seen him a lot since he's left. I've only seen him a handful of times in the last couple of years, 2 years or so. But he's always struck me as someone, and I don't know, maybe it's just his size. Maybe I'm just being sizist right now. But he's always struck me as one of those players who would work really well in other leagues, but not in the Premier League. And I don't know. I don't know entirely if it is just that. But I look at it and I go, would I be happy if he came in for the right price? Yeah, sure, of course I would. I think he is a good player. Like a couple of times I've watched him when he's been playing for Sporting, and I'm like, bloody hell, here he goes. He's looking good today. But at the same time, I'm not convinced that he would be like the guy. And I think, like you say, the Spurs thing is just very interesting. I mean, I once bought Tosin Adarabioyo when I was doing an FM save with Man City. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes these things just like sort of have to happen for other reasons, and I feel like that could potentially be a thing. I don't know what the price for Edwards has been. It just happens to be this thing that just keeps coming back as an option.
Around about 25 million is the.
On the lower half of that, I wouldn't be mad at it. I definitely wouldn't be mad at it, and homegrown does help as well for us, but. Once you start going above that, I'd start to have doubts. Maybe unfairly, I'd start to have doubts, but yeah.
Yeah, so right then, shall we take a look and see what people are saying in the live chat about the transfer rumours, Charlie?
100%. You start because I need to sneeze and it's going to go absolutely crazy.
You go sneeze away. Right then, let's have a little look and see what you're all saying. Get your thoughts into the live chat. And if you're watching this on playback, get your thoughts into the comments below. We'll be back later on to have a little read. Mark said, can't imagine Sullivan sanctioning 30 million euros for Brazilian kid based on what happened with Osman. When I see him wearing the shirt, then I will believe it. Robert said, anticipation.
To be fair, I think Sullivan might. I think that's a Sullivan wet dream. A 30 million Brazilian signing, and not only that, one that people are telling him, oh yeah, he's good. Steidten must be going up to him, going, oh, this kid's good.
He likes the South American market.
He loves a bit of it.
Robert said, anticipation of what could be is both worrying and exciting. In Tim, we trust, he says, with quotation marks. It feels like there's a little bit of hesitancy in that statement, which I understand. You're waiting for proof, really, aren't you? You're waiting for solid proof. But this is why he's here. He's here to bring in people we've not heard of. Like I said last summer, and I get criticised from some people for slagging Steidten off, and I say I'm not slagging Steidten off, but going and getting Ajax's two best players doesn't impress me that much. I'm glad we got them.
Yeah.
But me, you, Barry, Lewis, Garino, usual suspect, Collingwood, we could have all identified. We probably did all identify Alvarez and Kudus. So it's nothing.
Yeah. He's
called the Pearl Diver. Let's see some pearls then, rather than going down to your local jeweler and picking up a ring. That ain't anything too exciting. That's good purchase. Not very difficult. Colin Wood says Somerville at Leeds. I think he's destined for bigger things in West Ham. Personally, if I can get him, then 100%. I think that's someone that goes straight in.
I reckon we're the right level club for him for now.
Don't know. I think
he might go on to do bigger things, but do you really reckon a bigger club would go and get Somerville now?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Honestly, I do. I think he's a really good talent, probably quite affordable. I think he's been linked to like Liverpool at the moment. I think he'd be a good signing for somebody, Man United.
Yeah. I guess feels like quite the job. That feels a bit more risky for them, but at the same time, I think he's a good. I really like him. I liked him when he was in the Prem. I think when I've seen him this season, he's looked really good again. But one of those things where I'm like, I feel like the step would be to us as opposed to a big club. But listen, when the option's there, you go for it, I guess.
Barry would like Dan James, great left winger, quick and underrated. Not for me personally. He's definitely quick, I'll give you that, but
I think I would probably agree that he is underrated, but I think mainly that's because I think seeing as his time at Manchester United and some of his time at Leeds, people have been he's not showed himself in the best of lights, and I think people have taken that quite to heart. Like when I was watching the Championship playoff final, he felt like someone who was like, right, this is happening. I'm scoring and we're going up. And he just couldn't make it happen.
He did it, yeah. He hit the bar.
Yeah.
Garino said media outlets already trying to sell Kudus for a knockdown price like Declan Rice while completely ignoring the fact that there's a release cost of 85 million and we don't need the money. I'd love us to be chucking money at Kudus personally, saying let's get this clause out of your contract, let's bump up to 100 million or something.
I have to give him a lot, though, because he must be on high wages already.
Slender said if he's going to replace Kudus, I'd rather spend the money when Kudus actually goes and not wasting 30 million now when we have a huge rebuild on our hands. See, I'm not like that because everyone then knows you've got 85 million for Kudus. Price goes up. I'm always... I
think it's... There's in my head, there's two schools of thought to it, right? Because I can't act like I haven't thought that exact same thing. I can't act like I haven't gone... It's a lot of money to be spending when we've got to buy a couple of centre-backs, potentially a centre midfielder, wingers, like we've got a striker. There's like a lot going on and not that much money to go around the entire thing. So like it does, like part of me has thought that. I think the other school of thought, partly what you're saying, that sort of like don't let everyone know you sort of have the money, but also while we're in a situation which not every other Premier League club has been for the last season and a bit or whatever, and probably will be this summer and maybe even next summer as well, in the sort of, right, these financial rules exist now, they are being enforced now, so we do genuinely have to think, we can't just go, yeah, we'll pop money here and do all this. It's quite smart that while we can spend, to go and spend on what is... I mean, it's high risk, high reward. Let's be real, if it doesn't matter if it's Wesley, it doesn't matter if it's Luis, whichever one of those two went through, for example, if they worked out, the money would be hugely beneficial to us. Because unlike, say, Paquetá, selling him for 85 mil, for example, nice bit of business. We still bought him for 50 something. Yeah. So, like, as much as it is a huge amount of money, and it is a big profit for West Ham, it's not necessarily as big as it would be for one of these two, where we could sell him for... We'll do the same thing where he'll get a release clause in his contract in 3 windows time for 85 million or whatever it is, and all of a sudden you make even more money. So when you have the money, it's quite smart to spend the money in order to sort of guarantee yourself future money. Having said that, it's obviously that risk factor of it being such a young person for such a large amount of money does make it somewhat iffy.
The only thing I'll say, and I'm not going to go into it because it's long, but the way to change the rules for the PSR this summer, they're literally a way to vote on it. So it's like what the rules are today might be different in 12 months, which irritates me, by the way. I think once you agree, there's got to be a term that's like, right, for the next 10 years, we do not change this set of rules because everybody adapts to the new ones, and you change them again a year later because nobody's happy with what you're doing. And because they're, the way to change it based on your revenue, then there's talk that those in European football get more leeway. It's the whole thing's just annoys me. I struggle to keep up. Gonzo was grumpy, says Cyber. He was, but he's got holiday blues. He's probably a bit annoyed to be back home Alex says, shame Newcastle and Chelsea are in for Tosin Adebayo. Would have been a steal on a free. But time we landed a couple of freebies to actually improve our squad, as well as the 30 million gambles. Barry would have liked Ronnie Edwards to come in from Peterborough, great young centre-back, no more than 15 million. We could have signed him for 5 million about a year ago, but Sullivan said no. He was the one that I cheated on. Remember the championship?
I do, yeah. I do. I again, he's someone I haven't seen, but everyone I've spoken to and who's mentioned him have been very complimentary about him, but I can't say anything about him. I've never watched him.
I like it. I would have seen him a handful of times. I haven't seen him in the last year because they got relegated, but I really liked him when I first seen him. And we did the 10 to watch from the championship, or 10 that we should buy from the championship, and I stuck him in because technically, but no. Admittedly, was not a championship player when doing that video, but I just wanted to add him in. So I did. I made the rules. It's my video. I made the rules. 99 said anyone should keep an eye on Scotland. Matt O'Reilly is the one to keep an eye on. They apparently want 50 million, which is not going to get, but you might get him for 20, 25 million. I'm just more annoyed about Calvin Bassey because the second half of the season, I thought he was absolutely fantastic at Fulham, and it's one of them. I'll just growl at thinking, why did we not sign him? Same with Lewis Ferguson and stuff like that. I'm just, it was there. It was right there, but
doing my once every 6 months check on how Ryan Gould's doing.
Scored again.
Did he?
Man of match the other night. What were we? Sunday, maybe Thursday night. Yeah, they played. Scored man of match. Still not in the Scotland squad.
Little baller. The fact he's 28 makes me feel very, very old. Very, very old.
He's just 21 and he's never going to age.
He still looks 21, to be fair to him.
So we will see. Anyway, getting your thoughts in. Garino says we should have a big summer budget because we had 350 million revenue last season, no PSR. Next season it will drop as no European football. It does, but also it means you don't have to adhere to the UEFA rulings. The Premier League has actually got a little bit more wiggle room than the UEFA one. So because we're not in European football, we don't need to worry about their percentage stuff going on. We can just focus on, granted though, if you go back into European football, you got to worry about it pretty quickly, and suddenly you're over budget because you just ignored it. So this is why it irritates me. I think just follow UEFA model or something so that everything's in line. Having different rules is stupid. It's same with Leicester City. They're possibly a way to get sanctioned this summer by the Premier League because we couldn't touch them last season because they were in the Football League.
Yeah.
But then they broke the rules in the Football League. So the EFL were like, well, if you don't get promoted, we're going to come after you. They got promoted. So now the EFL can't punish them. But the Premier League, now you're back up here. We can punish you for what you've done. It's just stupid thing.
From a simplicity standpoint, I would prefer them all to just be consistent and the same. It would make life quite easy. I get why specific things bring in specific rules, be it the Football League, the Premier League, UEFA, whoever it is. I get it, but I feel like this is literally where a governing body like UEFA should come into play and just be like, here are the blanket rules for all of Europe. I don't understand why complication-wise, why it needs to be so just convoluted and have all these different things.
Because I think the UEFA don't want the English clubs to benefit too much a little bit because we have, not this season obviously, but previously quite often English teams do well in the latter stages, and we've got a lot more money than most of the other clubs in European football. So they don't want English football to almost financially dope compared to, in theory, should West Ham have a bigger budget than AC Milan in terms of stature of a club and whatever? Maybe not, but we do. So I think maybe that's why UEFA aren't keen on doing what we do. Likewise, that's why the Premier League probably aren't keen on UEFA's model because hang on a minute, then it's going to restrict what we can do. Mark said, a bit nervous. Some of the more prioritised positions haven't come in yet, although the window's not open. Catherine's just discovered this site recently, but unfortunately lost her job. Hope things are looking good for you soon, Catherine. Keep your chin up. Light at the end of rainbows and stuff like that. Bill said we should have gone for Bassey. He was blinding at Rangers. We really needed somebody that could cover left back, left centre back, but didn't bother with him, especially when he left Ajax. But he wasn't great at Ajax, admittedly. Dan said that Peter Stein doesn't seem to be moving forward for a centre back after the Bruno situation via the media. Rhonda said at the end of the window, how many buys and loans will we have? We're supposed to be getting 7. I think 7's the magic number that's been banded around at the minute. Minimum 6, maximum 8.
It's gonna be interesting to see how it ends up working out. I think it's such a big window for Tim Steidten specifically of how he works. It's gonna be interesting to see how it all ends up working out.
Yeah, I think I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by it because I think what he's going to discover, or he has discovered, is maybe 1 or 2 players he perhaps doesn't want in the squad but can't move on. And the big one's Danny Ings. We probably don't want him, but because of his wages, we're stuck with him, so we can't really do anything. And we don't need the biggest squad next season. No European football. There's not much game time to be dished out. So I'm intrigued as to how we're going to keep Lucas Fabianski happy. He was grumpy when he was dropped, and at the minute he's only guaranteed 2 games next season. Obviously, hopefully we'll go further in the cup competitions and gets more, but at the minute he's only guaranteed 2 games if we stick to what we've done previously, which is, I assume we will do, because it's quite a traditional thing that's spread across all the clubs in the Premier League at the minute. So be exciting. Major says right back, 2 centre backs, left wing, centre mid, and 2 forwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's his 7 players. I don't know if we'll get 2 strikers. I don't think we will.
No, probably not. I don't know where else you. Yeah, I don't know. It depends. We probably wouldn't know because Danny Ings exists, so the chances of that happening is very slim. Because then you'd have the 2 forwards and Mikel Antonio and Danny Ings, and I feel like he at least tried to buy he's tried to buy Antonio however many months ago it was at this point. So technically, Mikel Antonio and someone else feels like something that he would be happy to sort of work with, and I feel like that's kind of going to have to be some of the target this window, is just getting what we're happy with to work with as opposed to like ideal situations.
Yeah. Hammer 99 says, what positions do you think you need? He said he wants a right back, left foot centre back, defensive midfielder, centre midfielder, left wing and striker. So that's 6 for 99. You probably need a 3rd keeper in there as well. That's what Majors missed out there. I think one of the 7 will be the 3rd goalkeeper. I'm assuming, I'm putting words in mouth here, 99 Major would probably just extend Anang's contract to retain Trot rather than going for Fodringham. But the reality is that Anang is off ski. We're doing something with Trot, so we are going to need a 3rd goalkeeper. So while it's 7, I think one of them, unfortunately, will be the keeper situation. In terms of Maatsen, is he still available? He is. I've not heard anything regarding Dortmund. I think Chelsea will be wanting big money because, again, they're under pressure a little bit to sell. But they've got 7 centre-backs now. I've got a feeling 1 or 2 of those might be available. Chalobah might become...
Yeah, Chalobah keeps coming up, doesn't he?
That's him, Chalobah.
Not his brother. Who I was always very excited by his brother, but not his brother.
Is he still at Watford? Is he still kicking about there? Where do you reckon he is these days?
No, I reckon he left, I don't know who to, though. Big Nathaniel Chalobah. That's not what I've typed in. That was just a pathetic attempt by me.
Football rabbit hole. Here we go. Where is he?
Oh, of course he went to Fulham. I forgot about that. He's at West Brom now. He was at Fulham for the last 2 years, which I completely forgot about. And now he's at West Bromwich Albion since the beginning of 2023.
There you go. That's where he is now. Shin is saying, does Potts get played this season?
I doubt it. I don't know what you do with him. The thing is, I just don't know. If we are looking to get another centre mid, it depends on what happens with Souček and Downs, I guess. I suspect Downs will get sold, which means I suspect Downs will get sold and Souček will stay, which would mean there might be just about be space for Freddie Potts. But again, it would be very low down the pecking order, and given the fact we don't have Europe, I doubt it. I would prefer we loan him out again to a good level and to a good club.
Yeah, I think it depends on what we do with Flynn Downs first and foremost. But does he need registered next season? I have a feeling he might require registered in Premier League.
Potts. Don't know what's the age. What's
You
the
have
age
to
we have
look
to
it
be
up.
registered?
That's what I'm saying. You might have to look it up. But I have a feeling that he might require Premier League squad registration, which might
20. I think he might get away with it.
That's
Or is it
right.
at the beginning? Or is it at the beginning of the season? You have to be.
You'll have to check the rules on that. I'm not 100% sure, but he might get away with it. This might be the last season he doesn't require being registered, and therefore it makes sense to keep him around. But the thing with Potts is he's far too good for under 21s, and he's got a year under his belt now playing for Wickham. It would be a complete backward step to leave Potts playing in under 21. So we're going to keep him in the squad. I think you've got to give him minutes because we can't do what we did with Mubama with Potts. Now I know there's a contract situation there, but in terms of playing time, Mubama didn't feature that much for the under 21s last season because he was part of the first team. But then he wasn't played in the first team, so he's just on the bench every week doing nothing. And it's a complete hindrance to their development. So I think with Potts, if you're going to keep him, you've got to sort of almost promise yourself that you're going to give him opportunities.
Yeah.
But those opportunities are going to be less and less now because of lack of European football. But this is why I don't want to see a big squad next year. I don't want to see 25 senior players at West Ham because that is just going to completely kill Earthy, Potts. Those types of players will just really struggle. What's already going to be difficult to give them game time, it will get even harder. I don't want to see that. But, you want to be able to, that if you get an injury, that the guy that comes onto the bench is possibly the youngster. There has to be a pathway there. Martin Nobles spoke before about creating one. So he cleared out the 21-year-olds that were in the way. But what he didn't do is clear out the senior players that's in the way.
Yeah.
He got rid of the middle bit, but the last part is still, that last blockage is still at the club. So we've got to come up with a plan and stick to it. Really, be better. We have to be better. We've got Potts as loan right, we've got Downs as loan right, but we've got Callum Marshall's horrifically wrong, and we can't afford another one of them either. So we'll see. I'm intrigued to see how they get on in pre-season.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to be registered yet. I believe the cutoff date is going to be under 21. Under 21 players will have to have been born on or after January 1st, 2003, I believe. And he's born September 2003. So I think this is the last. Fine. This will probably be the last season he doesn't have to be registered. He probably have to be registered the year after. But yeah, no, I agree. I think this is one of the things that I find most. See, I don't think this is probably what everyone else would find exciting potentially, but I find very exciting is the idea of this being the setup season for us going forward. And this window, the idea for the squad is building and constructing a squad that works for us going forward. Not necessarily, let's go and buy this player because he works for us, let's go buy this player, let's go buy this, do this, but more right, we have such a huge, this is a true rebuild, right? And I want to look at it from a situation where it's very easy for us to get Freddie Potts game time in the future, even if it's not this summer, because potentially Thomas Souček is here still or something like that. I don't know, right? But if that is the case, then we know we can get it sort of going forward, and then all of a sudden we then work from this as a baseline. Because I think before that we've always had this look, we've still got remnants of this squad from Slav right now. I mean, technically Aaron Cresswell's still here, and he's from Allardyce, so we've kind of got a very, very long tail thing going on. But realistically, with the new structure that we've got in place, this being a summer where we can build our base out, so then next season and the season after that and everything becomes a flow, a pattern to it. You go, okay, this player is probably leaving for big money, we can go get this player. Okay, this one's not quite working out, okay, we can go get this player, as opposed to going, holy hell, we've got to do 15,000 things in a single window. And that's quite exciting to me, even if it means that a lot of the signings individually wouldn't excite me. The idea of having that base sorted is very exciting to me.
Yeah. Simon says, sell Souček to maximise value, wants to sit midfield and defence based on possession. Bill said if we get Potts right, he feels he could be the next Declan Rice. Garino reckons 20 million for Downs, and we could get Fofana for 30, then it's a no-brainer, but I wouldn't mind if Flynn Downs stayed. Quick answer, Charlie. Major saying, was it treasonous of him to take a photo of his boy next to Bobby Robson outside Portman Road yesterday?
Nah, vibes.
Barry said we will see the way Lopetegui will start next season when pre-season starts. Give us a look into how he will start his best 11. I agree with that. I think you'll see the style very, very quickly. Marky is asking, do you think it's strange that we're signing West Foderingham?
No, it's a David Martin situation. Here's an experienced goalkeeper to come in and be third choice and help out and do whatever he needs to do, sort of on the training ground. And then if the worst case scenario does come to pass, I would be a lot more confident in Foderingham than I would on Anang. Although I did enjoy. Listen, the one thing I can say about Anang, did enjoy his celebrations at the Europa Conference League. The tour, he's there with his little jaunty hat slightly to the side, looking completely confused by the scenario, just like, I'm like, yeah, go on, lads, have a good time. But yeah, no, I think if you can get him in, Foderingham, and then you can loan out Trott or sort of figure it out, because Trott, we don't know if he's going to leave permanently or not. We don't really know what's going to happen. But if we can loan him out, because he would need to be registered given his age, even though he is homegrown, he would need to be registered. Then at that stage, you're looking at which one of these two players would you trust more to play in the Premier League. It would probably be Foderingham. That means we can probably get Trott one more loan out or something, because it finally feels like he's getting close to maybe a level where you can start to think about it. Then at that stage we can sort of figure it out. It makes sense for me in that sense, because it is, I would also expect not that much money with Foderingham.
Yeah, I think the club hold Heggie in high regard as well, who's 21. So while Knightsbridge is left and Anang's going, it does feel like, whoa, where's all the young keepers? But I think they've got high hopes for Heggie, who's staying here. Alex thinks I knew he would be the best signing. Not sure. Lopetegui did not like him at Wolves for whatever reason. Did not play him, just banished him completely from the squad. So that would be a big no for me. I like Nuri. I think he's fantastic, but it'd be a bit like a David Moyes Zaha situation, which is there's history there. Let's not try and solve it. Let's just accept it for what it is and do not entertain it at this club, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mark says Lopetegui's got 2 years with an extra one if we get European football. So this window needs to be a strong one. Dan's asking when the waypoints get reset for next season. Probably just before the start of the season, truth be told, Darren. I'm not 100% sure. One day you'll log in, you'll have the next to no points. Jazza says, are you more optimistic going into this summer transfer window than last summer?
I don't know. I don't know how I would level my optimism. I'm more excited in terms of. I'm more excited just because this feels like the beginning of the rest of the time, as opposed to last summer, which felt like, right, we're still trying to sort of build on what we're doing. This feels like a fresh new start, and that is always very exciting to me. But I don't know how I'd level my optimism.
It's a different type of optimism for me. Last summer I was optimistic. Sure. I was excited last summer because we knew Declan was going. And I think there was an assumption, which turned out to be correct, that we were going to get 100 million for him. So, whoa, hang on, Tim Steidten's here because he just arrived. And I'm not going to... I assumed Tim Steidten was going to have control of last summer's transfer window. I'm not going to apologise for that assumption. Yes, perhaps naive to assume Moyes would give up that. But I assumed that the chairman of the football club would have made it clear that the guy that's meant to be in charge of the transfer window would be in charge of the transfer window. And I don't like Sullivan, blah, blah, blah. But I just had hopes that with Tim Steidten at the club, things were going to be different. And it turned out they weren't, but we're talking pre-transfer window here, right? This is going into transfer window. So I thought Tim Steidten's here, 100 million from Declan Rice, plus another 50 million to start with. Skamaka was off ski. I thought, we're going to have a lot of money to spend with some guy that had a big hand in bringing top talent to Leverkusen. I was really excited. This summer, it's a different level of optimism. It's not necessarily that. It's for the reasons you've said, which is I'm now optimistic because this barrier to Tim Steidten was David Moyes or lack of clarity from David Sullivan, whichever one I'm the latter, but a lot of people just blame Moyes. I blame David Sullivan specifically for allowing this situation to develop over 12 months. But regardless, it's gone now. This situation has been removed. And it does feel like Lopetegui has been told this is the guy in charge. It's been very clear. The club have been clear. This is the head coach. This is not the manager. This is the head coach. he's done his interviews with the club, and quite a few times he referred to Tim Steidten, working with Tim Steidten. So that's got me optimistic. So for different reasons, I'm looking forward to this transfer window. And with no European football next season, sad face, I think everything brings up in life. I think everything brings opportunity. Even bad news brings opportunities. Sometimes you need a little bit of time, and you need to step back in order to see it. But with this one, we know European football. I mean, is that actually we don't need a massive squad anymore. We can actually just take our time, because I think the starting base right now, and this, I feel like I'm in the minority here because a lot of people saying Moyes has left us with a crap squad. I don't think he has. I think he's left us with a good squad. And if you compare it to the team that Moyes inherited, it's significantly better than what he got when he came back to the club. Yeah. Am I happy with everything? No. Do I think it's old? Yes. Do I think it needs rebuilt? But I always say, well, which team doesn't? You know, last summer, Liverpool literally rebuilt the rebuilt the midfield in one go. Klopp was there for 9 years. Was it 9 years? And he had to rebuild. So you're constantly just rebuilding and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think we've got a good starting base. I think we need a few bodies in, and we need a couple of significant upgrades in the starting 11. And I think we can look to have a good season next year, actually. So that's why I'm optimistic this year, Charlie. It's a different one.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think when you look at the base, we're very strong. I mean, when you're considering a side that has Areola in goal, Alvarez, Kudus, Bowen, like Pagatar, there's a lot to like in this team. And a lot where any incoming manager I think would have been exciting. It's not we don't need a complete rebuild of the first 11. It's the squad that we sort of need to figure out and start putting pieces in with a couple of little slots here in the starting 11. But I think from the 11 side, that standpoint, it feels like quite not easy, but a relatively decent job for a manager to come in and go, oh, actually, I quite like these ones. It's the thing I always got frustrated about with Moyes at the beginning was just Haller seems like such a gift of a human being to have as a manager, and just to go, you will be playing like Mikel Antonio was just so backwards to me. Yeah. Whereas I feel very similarly. I feel like you look at Bowen, you look at Kudus, people like that, and go, mate, if you figure out what you're going to do with these guys, and all of a sudden you're cooking easily, early doors cooking.
Well, if you think we've got a bad team, then what's your expectations next season? Just avoid relegation because the team's so bad? Well, I think we've got a good starting point. What's my expectations? I don't know, 10th maybe in his first season, because he's going to have to change his style a little bit. I'll go into detail in a specific video. I just want to say thank you to James for the £2 super chat. Ralph said he's looking forward to this season for the first time in 2 years. Lewis said we've got a better spine with Kudus, Bowen, Alvarez, and Paqueta. Marky said it's not long enough for Lopetegui with 2 years because he's got 4 previous managers' players, but I think that's the same for any manager in football these days, really. You've just got to deal with it. I think a good manager will be able to work with the players of other managers. Yes, you need your own ones, but what I will say at West Ham now, if we want this new model, which I do, the manager ain't getting his players anymore. That's gone. And any guy coming in after Lopetegui will not have Lopetegui's players. He will have Tim Steidten's players. And I think this is the point. If we're going to go down the head coach road, which we have done, then the manager no longer gets to pick.
I think that's the difference between us and other clubs, is that because we're only just starting on that journey now, he's got 4 managers worth of players, if you want to put it that way, but where there was no rhyme or reason to most of it. It was just like jumping from thing to thing, from swinging from one side to the other. And a lot of those transfers, David Sullivan was very heavily involved. So there was, again, even less sort of like cohesion to it going forward. There's been a bit more under Moyes, but pre that, the cohesion was just all over the shop. Whereas another manager might be coming into a team where it has 4 managers worth of players, but where there was like a through line to it, an actual thought process to what was going on. I think that's the sort of the bigger difference.
Yeah, I mean, the Chelsea manager's going to have about 10 managers worth of players at that club. There's no update, Andreas, on Paqueta. There's nothing. The Brazil FA just said they're going to play him, and they're almost ignoring it to some extent, which is the right thing to do. I think you let him play, and Paqueta's just said
they especially will be able to get everything out of him before any. I mean, I don't suspect there's going to be any updates on this for a hot minute, regardless.
Well, he's got to enter his plea tomorrow.
Sure, but we know what the plea would be.
We know what it'll be.
Yeah, we know what it'll be. Like, it's about going forward from there. This process seems to be very long, and maybe once you get charged, it speeds up a little bit because they feel like they've got a case at this point to talk about. But I can't imagine this being over anytime soon. I mean, Brazil will just play him and get through the entire thing, and then I suspect he'll probably start pre-season with us and maybe even the season with us without really having to think about it.
Mark, he said he's optimistic with Lopetegui as long as Sullivan gives Tim the funds to rebuild, plus promote some kids, and a good season next year. It would be mid-table. Daniel's asking if we think we'll get players like contract. I think Fodringham will happen. I think.
I don't know who else. I don't know who else is out of contract. So I'd have to have a look to see if there's anyone even worth considering. I think they'd be considered.
John Lundstrom.
Ooh,
he's like not that one at my West Ham, by the way. He's just one of those players that former Sheffield United at Rangers. He's been released by Rangers now, so he'd be a good signing for a Championship club.
Yeah, he would be. Yeah,
he'd be a handy little purchase for somebody. Michael said last transfer window was a game of chicken between Steidten and Moyes. They were panicked into getting the transfers we did at the end of the window. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got anybody in. Not sure about that. I don't think we did panic and get anybody in. I thought Mavpanos, Sword-Prowse, Kudus and Alves was all thought through. I thought Calvin Phillips was Moyes' man. Didn't work out, but I don't think there was any panic signings. I think I agree. There was a game of chicken, but I think the end result was we got nobody because there was a lack of agreement in regards to who to go get. So it was decided we're not going to go get anybody, which is fine. Depends on what you want. You know, if you're in a pair of pants, you need a pair of trousers. You can't afford to go, I can't decide which ones I want, so I'll just get none. You've got to get a pair, right? But when it comes to buying a striker, sometimes the best option is to say, well, we'll just keep the money for the summer.
Yeah.
A weird analogy, but...
I'm here for it. It made me think about going clothes shopping. It's something I need to think about, you know. I need to go and buy a belt. I need to get some other bits and pieces. There's certain events coming up in the second half of the year that I still need to buy clothes for example. You know, these things I need to be paying attention to at the moment. You know,
you do. I'm looking forward to seeing you in your.
It's the only time you'll ever see it, basically. So I mean, even I remember going to the corporate at the LS, and even then I was wearing a polo. So I mean, listen.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Anyway, should we wrap up? I can't believe we've been going for 50 minutes, but anyway, that's what happens when you go live at 9 on a Sunday morning.
With not much to talk about somehow. Well, thank you everyone. We appreciate it. We'll be back next Sunday at 9. I think I'll be. Yes. Next Sunday at 9, we'll be here. So make sure to come back, subscribe if you haven't already. Because just because there's nothing going on doesn't mean there ain't videos happening. I think we've done quite well. To be fair, this week I think we've done quite. I always used to say when the sort of the season peters out, Hammers Chat comes alive with different types of content and different styles.
You like it when we have to get creative, a bit of a tier list, a bit of. But this we've got. Tomorrow I've got a bit about Kretinsky, and later on in the week I've got a bit about season tickets because, to be honest with you, the club have really pissed me off. And I've mentioned a couple of other videos, but I've had people saying, are you going to do a video? And I was like, I've already done it, but they've obviously missed it. So I feel like, okay, when one person complains, I think it's on them, not me. But when multiple people say something, I think that's on me, not them. So multiple people said, why are you not covering the season ticket stuff? And I feel like it's just become quite popular in the last week or so, but I felt like I'd covered it when the information regarding the renewals came out, which was April time, and I covered it then rather than when it was popular. But yeah, so I'll cover it during the week. But it's chaos at Wolves right now with season tickets. Wolves fan base is, I feel for them actually. So there will be a little bit of Wolves chat in there, but the reason there's going to be a bit of Wolves chat is because that is the direction West Ham are heading, and we've taken a step in that direction. You know, we don't nip it in the bud. We will be Wolves next summer, but they've got so bad. Right, I'll tell you this: they've got so bad. I don't know if it's the owner. There's someone called Jeff at Wolves. I don't know who he is. Right, he's very prominent. Just emailed a fan back. A fan kept on emailing the club complaining about this season ticket stuff and said, like, you need to sort this out, blah, blah, blah. And he emailed back quite late at night. So I don't know if he maybe had a few shandies or something. He basically said, we've answered all the questions and the FAQs on the website. and it says something like, "Hopefully, Wolves can have a good season next year. Have a good day, mate," and then signed off. Like, you might as well just wrote, "I don't care." But just like I read it, I just thought, wow, that is like next, like that is unreal.
Jeff was not feeling it. Jeff was not vibing it in that moment.
It's Wolves is honestly, if you've got a bit of time today and you want to go down a rabbit hole, maybe just Google what Wolves are going through. They've got a petition which has got thousands of names. I've signed it. I'm not a Wolves fan, but I've signed it because football is going down this road in general, and I do not like it one bit. People in the chat, we're going to get priced out. Some of us have already been priced out, but more and more of us are going to get priced out because they don't want season ticket holders anymore. They don't want season ticket holders, and they're going to do their best to get rid of us, reduce the season ticket numbers, increase match day tickets, increase funds, and what is already quite a poor atmosphere at London Stadium. It's only going to get worse, in my opinion. And so there you go.
Yes, I won't go into it, but yes. Difficult times. But hey, so we're talking about that. Among other things, so like the video because it helps out massively, and we shall see you next time. Thanks everyone. Bye.